Today, when we read this account of Noah, written by Moses, this interjectory statement that Ham is the father of Canaan is, quite frankly, lost on us. But, as it turns out, to the peoples of Moses' day, this statement was a stunning revelation. For by these words we can deduce that the peoples spreading out upon the post-Diluvian world understood that Noah had raised 4 sons, Shem, Japheth, Ham, and Canaan. If this interjectory statement be more about Ham than Canaan, then there is no other way to read this. The fact that Noah's sons are enumerated and that this interjectory statement comes by way of a clarification, then this is as though it was said, Noah is not the father of Canaan, for Ham is. This entire statement is remedying a false belief. And if we tap into the mindset of the peoples of Moses' time, that is, holding the belief that Noah had 4 sons, one of which was Canaan, then let's read verse 18 again. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Now, let's embellish the verse to affirm what you are now thinking. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and, contrary to what you have been led to believe, Ham is the father of Canaan, not Noah. This declaration is putting the record straight for the people. It becomes evident to us now that the peoples of Moses' day believed the 4 progenitors of the tribes still overspreading the earth were Shem, Japheth, Ham, and Canaan. And so the hearing of Moses' words must have been a wow moment, that in actual fact Noah was not the father of Canaan. And as an affirmation, so as to dispel any thoughts of an error, Moses preemptively writes a clarifier in the next sentence. Genesis 9:18, these are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole world overspread. For those of Moses' time who had been hearing his words from the beginning, that is, from the beginning of the account of Noah, with the understanding that they had, eyebrows would have been raised from the first mention of Noah's sons. If we go back 4 chapters, Genesis 5:32, and Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The learners of Moses' time would have wondered at the absence of Canaan, while believing Canaan to be the 4th son of Noah. But this query would have been settled at the thought that Canaan must have been born later, but yet before the flood, which was still 100 years away. You see, to the learners of Moses' time, they fully expected Canaan to walk off the ark with Shem, Ham, and Japheth. We can ascertain this at the verse where the first case of the interjectory statement is, Genesis 9:18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. At the second mention of Noah and his sons by name, the same can be said, that there was still almost a century to go before the flood waters hit the earth, and therefore still plenty of time for Canaan to be born. We can certify the duration because Shem was about 98 years old at the flood, and he was the youngest. But then, at the third mention, the wonderment of the reader is increased as he learns that only 3 sons of Noah ever entered the ark. Genesis 7:13. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, into the ark. The learner then is left with the thought that Noah's wife was either pregnant with Canaan getting onto the ark, or that she conceived on the ark. Yet the learner knows that there is no wife for Canaan on the ark, and is left with the notion that he must have in time married a niece. By the time the learner gets to the blessings and the establishing of the Noahic covenant, things would surely have been getting rather complicated at the wonderment of whether this meant Canaan too. And then the learner receives the surprise that the father of Canaan is in fact Ham and not Noah, and that Noah only ever had 3 sons. Okay, so big news that was, but not something to upheave the mind too much. But at the second occurrence of this interjectory statement, there's a surprise of the nastiest kind. Well, I hope that you are as intrigued as I was. I shall be uploading the entire series of Ham is the father of Canaan, but I thought that Noah was. If, however, you would like to purchase the book or ebook, then these options are available on Amazon. I also recommend to you my other publication, Nimrod, The Easy Way to Be a Mighty One, which correlates at times with this particular discourse. My name is John Edgar Townsend. I trust that you will have a blessed day.